In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your first NVivo project. You can tell that I've just opened my first NVivo project and this is empty. So there are three things I want to focus on in this video. I'm going to focus on preparing to import the files that I want to work with. So to be preparing the files to come in. Secondly, I will consider the themes for the coding. And then thirdly, I will consider the classification. So let's start with the files. I'm looking at the filing cabinet here under the data, and you can see that in the files it's a flat filing system. But I'm thinking I have got three separate data that I would rather put them separately in different folders. So in the files folder here, filing cabinet I call it, I will right mouse click on it and create three subfolder systems. So the first one, I will call it interviews. And then I'll go back into the files and then I'll create another. And this one, I'll call it online surveys. And then the last storage that I want, I will call it social media content. So I've got my three storage into which I would import various documents. Now I want to jump over to the codes area, which is the themes. This particular study is about sporting performance. So it's a phenomena that I want to explore from a number of athletes and their management. So I'm only interested at this stage to consider setting up a dedicated area in the themes so I can bring in the three things that I want to look at. And then as the data becomes available and I'm going through line by line trying to get the contextual understanding, I would then use this top level as my open codes area. So I have two separate areas to work with for neatness. So I can then right mouse click here and create a dedicated thematic coding system. For myself. And it's supported by my chosen phenomenological methodology that I'm using. So I will set it up that way and leave the top level free for the open codes to come through before I know what to do with it. Now that I've created this thematic coding system, I can put in my top level themes. The first of which is the amount of training. So I will right mouse click inside the thematic coding system folder here. I will right mouse click and then go for new node, which is a node, not a folder, a node. So I'll call it amount of training. And then another top level one will be motivation to succeed. I think succeed. Yeah, that would do. And then the third would be natural sporting ability. Okay, so notice that I am not going to go down and drill it down to the sub themes because I want to reserve that for the data to decide how we go about the sub themes and what sub themes comes through the data. But I just wanted to set these 3 factors which are significant to sporting performance. And I can also go down to the 3rd one, which is the classification, especially those I'm going to interview. I want to gather some demographics information so I can use it to do in-depth comparative analysis down the road. So to also bring in that, I am going to go into this area, which is called the cases. Now I'm going into the classification sheet to begin with because I haven't got the cases or the transcript yet. So I'm setting up the demographic attribute. So in this folder, once you click on it and you come into your list view, you can now right mouse click in this empty area and set up a new classification. And I want to call this one participant demographics. I noticed that I could have selected one of these predefines, but I just want to show you from first principle how to set it up. So I've created a new table and then I'll click on OK. Now on this table, I can now bring in the attributes that I want to consider. So the first one would be gender. So I'll right mouse click on the table and then go for new attributes. So I will call this one gender. Now gender would have values for individuals, so males and females. So I want to click on the value tab. Now you notice that the software provides you with unassigned and not applicable. Leave that alone and consider your own. So I'll click on the add and add my own. I'm going to go for male and female and then click on OK. I want to also add on age group at this stage. I can come back and add some more, but I'm just showing you very briefly how you set it up. So right mouse click on the table and go for new attributes, and there I will call it age group. And so back into the values, I will come into the add and I'll say the first group I will call it under 21, and then the second group will be 21 to 35 maybe, and then 36 and above. And so I'm done with that. So in a nutshell, what I have done is, in setting up, I considered 3 things: the storage system that I need to develop to bring the data in. I also set up my thematic structure with intention to code into these and also code into the open area. I have created this so I can have the freedom to code into the open area and then relocate them into the thematic. Nothing is set in stones at this stage. And of course, I also wanted to take a look at the classification. So in the next video, I would introduce data into this, my first NVivo project, and then I would assign the interview data to their classification attributes and values. I hope you find this useful. Thanks for watching.